Is it visible, ma'am?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So first of all, I thank InfoSquad for giving me this opportunity, and then I thank everyone for here attending your first webinar on the topic of Siloscape because it is a recently discovered malware. Thank you for spending your precious time here. So let me have a little introduction about myself. Myself is Abhishek Kumar. I'm a student at Agni College of Technology doing bachelor's in computer science and engineering. Not only that, recently I have joined as a research intern at InfoSquad. So before joining InfoSquad, I was a malware analyst at IG3 Infra India. My interest lies in technology, and then so I started exploring things, and I was practicing cybersecurity for the last 5 years, and there is still more to learn about it. So during this pandemic, I started developing tools using different languages. The language I am most fond of it is Java, Python, Ruby, and Perl. So I have been uploading it on my GitHub Repo as a public project. So apart from this thing I mentioned, I'm a part-time gamer. In my free time, you can find me playing games online as well as physically. So when it comes in physical games, I play chess, cricket, and badminton. So my hobbies are writing poems, singing, and drawing. Okay, so this is a little short introduction about myself. So let us have a look at the bill of fares. So in first, we are going to see about what is a Windows container, and then the container types we do have, and then what is Kubernetes and how it is useful in implementing Windows container and managing it. And then this is our topic, which is Siloscape. What is Siloscape and how it works, and then the safety measure we have to follow not to affect by Siloscape. And at last, we do have a questionnaire session. Not only in at last, if you have any questions, you can post it in the chat box. I will try to answer it as fast as I can. So even in at last, we do have a question answer session in which you can post your question, and not only the question, I'm just a student, so you can give me any suggestion you have. Okay, so this is our bill of fares. So let starts with Windows container. So what is a Windows container? This is the official definition given for Windows container by the Microsoft. Let me read it first. Windows container are a technology for packing and running any applications across different environments without installing them directly onto the host machine, both on premises and in cloud. Containers provide a lightweight, isolated environment that makes app easier to develop, deploy, and manage. So this is what the official definition given by Microsoft about Windows container. So let me explain it in a simple way. Windows container is actually a container, a four-shaped figure, virtual figure, which contains application and binaries inside it. Okay, so let we have a case here. In here you can see it's actually a house. Okay, so it's consider this as your house. So you're planning to buy a new cot. Okay, so if you're planning to buy a new cot, what all are the things you have to do in your home, the arrangements? Can anyone say about that? This is just a illusion that you have to think about. You're buying a cot and you have to arrange it in your room. So what will be your doing? You can post your answer in the chat box or you can open up your mic. Anyone? Hello. See, I just want this meeting to make interactive so anyone can answer just in a simple way, so that we will learn this in a funny way as well as simple. Okay, since it's first question, so no one is answering. So I just say, so if you're planning to buy a cot, what you have to do is just like simple. You have to make a decision in which place it has to be placed in. So it's like you need to give a space to that cot, and you have to make a little arrangement. Let's just consider like the place you are allocating for your cot, it's already filled with something like a furniture or your fridge, like that. So what you have to do is make some little arrangement inside your home, like that. When it comes to the system computer, what we are doing is like if we need photo editing software, let's take Photoshop. So you are planning to install it. Okay, so if you are installing it, the computer actually requires some space. And then when installing the Photoshop, it not only install the Photoshop, it also install the binaries and the dependencies, what and all it requires inside the machine. It actually changing some configuration inside our machine. So this what an application do when you install raw directly into a machine. Okay, so that's why the concept of container came in. What it has is, the container is already installed with the application we need. What you can do is just call the container, so deploy a container, use the application. It won't make any changes in your system. If you like it, you keep it, or else you delete it. That's all. Very simple concept. This is what a Windows container is. So it's very easy. It's when it comes in a view of business. Okay, so in a view of business, let us consider even Info Squad. Let's consider the Info Squad. They said that we do have a research team, and then we are doing graphic, like that. So let's say that they are providing us a server in which many users are working on, and we don't need the server is not much efficient for everyone to handle at the same time and everyone installing the software in it. So what we do is we can deploy the containers in the server. So like we just directly call the server inside, sorry, we just call directly the container, we just use it. So it won't make any changes in the system. Also, it is very much efficient and speed. Okay, so this is what the container is. So is there any doubt for anyone in what is container? So I think you will be well cleared. So just type me yes if you are clear in this slide. Okay, good. So let's move on to the next slide. It's what the type the Microsoft is providing us. The Windows container is provided officially by the Microsoft. So we are seeing not about the Linux container here, but both are pretty similar. So the malware is affecting only the Windows container. So let's talk about the Windows first. So the container types, when it comes to container types, the Microsoft are providing two types of container. One is the container that can be deployed directly into your machine. Okay, just like consider a situation where I'm currently using a Linux OS. Okay, I'm using a Linux OS. What I do, just fire off my terminal and then just type a deploy a Docker image, something like Ubuntu. I want to use a Ubuntu application. I just call the Ubuntu container and just use it, and then delete it, or I will use it. Okay, this is what the first type is. The first type directly depend on our system. We are directly importing the container inside our system. That is what the first type is. We call it as a server containers. Okay, it's the first type. And the second type is, so I think you guys know about the hypervisor technology. Yes, if you know about the hypervisor technology, let type yes or no. Okay, no. So hypervisor technology is like we are using in, I think not many people know about it, but actually we know we are using it in our day-to-day life. So hypervisor technology is containing another name called as hardware virtualization. So hardware virtualization, in simple term, I can say that is using VMware and VirtualBox. I think you guys are already using it to use Kali Linux in your Windows machine. So using VMware or it's just an application name. VMware and VirtualBox are just an application name, but what's the technology behind it is hypervisor technology. So what it does is our main OS layer. So let's see here in this image. I think you guys can follow my cursor. Or you guys can follow my cursor. The red tiny little one. Yes, okay. So you can see that the outer blue box is our machine, okay? The machine that contains a Windows OS or a Linux OS or Mac OS, something, okay? So in that thing, what we will be doing in this first one, you see, this is our machine. We are directly importing the container, okay? This is the container. We have around 5 app, okay? The 5 app and the binaries and libraries that, for example, if you are using you are just want to use Python, so it contains the all the Python libraries and binaries it needs to execute, okay? So it comes with like that. So this container, we can see it's directly imported above the host machine and the container. But in here, what it's like is inside the host machine, we are creating another machine. Okay, like using VirtualBox or VMware, we will be creating another OS like Linux or Windows. And inside that OS, what we will be doing is calling the Docker. Sorry, Docker and containers. Okay, both are same. So okay, what we'll be doing is calling the container. So this is what Windows call is Hyper-V container. In Hyper-V container, what we will be doing is we just don't directly install the container in our machine. Instead of that, we will be first setting up a virtual environment, and then inside that we will be using the containers. So this is what the difference between the server container and Hyper-V container. I think you guys are clear with this topic. Yes. Okay. So next, move to the Kubernetes. So Kubernetes, what is Kubernetes? It's there is nothing elaboratively, there is nothing more elaborative way to say what is Kubernetes. It's very simple. I can just say it is the captain of the ship. Okay, like that we can say. If anyone asks you what is Kubernetes, it's the whole captain of the Docker. It's the whole captain of the container. You can say, okay. It's like a open source service which is provided by Google. Okay, the Kubernetes is provided by Google. Why we are using Kubernetes is like you are having a multiple containers. Okay, so as I said before, the info squad is using a server, and then they are having many workers, and they need to manage what all the containers they are using, and they have to provide service ineffective of time regarding less of time. They have to provide the service, and they have to manage any error if they are facing in it. Okay, so for that we can use Kubernetes in a simple manner. What is a Kubernetes is it's an open source platform provided by Google. What it will do is the Kubernetes connects all the containers. Okay, let's consider for example, we do have here three nodes. Okay, we can call it as a node. Okay, for now Kubernetes node is the container or the host. Okay, so this guy is a system A, this guy is system B, and this guy is system C. Like we have a research team, a graphical team, and a tools developing team. We can say like that. Three nodes, and they are using different container in their system. Okay. So what we are doing is we are just connecting these three nodes directly to the Kubernetes server, which is maintained by the cloud. Okay. The cloud is something you can use anything. It's since it is open source, it's not mandatory likely to be the Google cloud. You can use AWS or anything. Okay, so it's managed by the cloud. So what happening here, the process is the main function of Kubernetes is to manage the node as well as to provide all-time runtime. Okay, so it's like if system A get corrupted, okay, but system A user has to work and he has a work to do. what the Kubernetes will do is it take the resource of another node and it will provide the Docker support to system A so that it can work efficiently. Okay, so this is what Kubernetes does, and how it is planning it, how the Kubernetes know where the problem occur is through etcd database. So we do have a etcd. So what it will do is it contains the truth of every container, whether the container is running, whether the container is not running, and who is using it, and it is corrupted or not. Like that, every details is present in etcd. Okay, so if any error happens, what it will do, it will alert the admin. Here is the kube controller manager, we can see here the left corner. So he will be alerted by kube api server. First of all, what is api server is like a messenger, we can say. A api server is a messenger. Like let's consider the system A and system B, where system A is an admin. So admin using a CLI, okay, command line interface, he is just typing a command like kubectl, can I deploy a docker, like that. If he is typing a command, what the system uh, api will do is it will go to the system B and say, hey, here system A is saying you, can I deploy a container, what I have to reply him. Then system B will like, okay, he's passing this command, I have to do like this. Same, go just saying hi. Now the api will go to system A and tell that system B is saying hi to you. And now what system A will type is like saying hello. Now the api will go to system B and say hello. This is the work of the api server. So it's act as a messenger. So by the cooperation of everything, the Kubernetes managed to run every container all time as possible and manage it. So the simple definition of Kubernetes is the Kubernetes is a multiple container solution, a management tool for multiple containers. So this is what Kubernetes is. Okay. So I think you guys understand what is Kubernetes and how it works. So you can ask me any doubts in the slide itself if you have anything to ask. So do you guys understand what is Kubernetes or not? Okay. So just don't type yes. Okay, I just want to make this interactive so that I'm asking question. You type yes, and if you don't know, you just type no. Okay. The last questionnaire session is not only like it also has to be interactive. Not only you will be asking questions there, I also will be asking question to someone randomly picked, and they has to answer my question. Okay. So please be genuine. If you understand it, you just say yes. If you don't understand, I will repeat it again. Okay. So it's not at all a problem for me. So do you guys understand the Kubernetes or not? Guys, yes or no? Okay. Yeah, that's what we are going to talk about, Bhavita. As it is the captain of the ship, it is hard to find vulnerable in it. So that's what we are going to talk about, and how it works is very funny here. Okay, it's very interesting actually how Siloscope works is. So we are coming into the topic of the real thing. What is Siloscape? Okay, so it's a very recent one. Okay, it's just discovered 2 months back by Mr. Daniel. So just me read the content first. It's very simple. It's not like reading what is there in the presentation. It will be understandable. In March 2021, just recent 2 months back, the first malware targeting Windows container was discovered by Mr. Daniel, and he named it as Siloscope. Okay, so sorry, Siloscape. The Siloscape got its name like Silo is a server in Windows. Okay, inside the root directory, we all know. I think many of you guys know that even Windows has the root directory. We in Linux we can see it directly, but in Windows we'll be just seeing local disk C as the main thing, the admin thing, and the remaining disks and all what you have installed. But there is a root directory in Windows. The guys who know how to use Windows might know that already. There is a root directory in Windows, and you can see that by going to the registry menu. So it's a silo is a server inside the Windows root directory, and the escape, we already know the meaning what is escape. The main function of silo escape is to escape the container. Okay, so what is actually Siloscape? So Siloscape is a heavily sophisticated malware targeting Kubernetes, okay, through Windows container. So it is actually targeting the Kubernetes, not the container. So we do have a naming problem here. We have to ask Daniel what he had done with the name. So it's like Siloscape not targeting the Windows container. It's not. It's like its main target is not like to escape the container, but to attack the Kubernetes. Okay, this is what the main task of Siloscape. Okay, so what the main task is, the main purpose is to open the back door, okay, in the Kubernetes. So in order to perform other attacks by the hackers, okay, it's we just install the Siloscape inside a host. What it will do is it's create a backdoor for us, so that in future we can attack him in any way we can. Okay, so this is what Siloscape is. And do you guys know what is mean by obfuscation? Obfuscation. Obfuscation. Guys, no. Okay. So what is obfuscation is it's a technique which is most usually by hackers and security expert, okay, to make the source code very difficult to understand by the users. This is what obfuscation is. Like so I am developing a software, okay, I'm developing a software and I am publishing it and you guys are using it. So when it comes in the hand of attacker, what he will do is he just decompile my software and see the programming what I have written in it. So it's very easy for him to rechange it and give you as the software which I created. But the thing is, it's not what I created. It just changed something in it, and he will be using it like for attacking purposes. So what we will do is we use the technique of obfuscation. So in which we will hide the. It's not like encrypting the data. It's like encrypting the logic. The data is not encrypted, the logic itself is encrypted. For example, I do have a image here, the original code and obfuscated code. Okay, I think you guys can see it. The original code is just, wait a minute. Okay, the original code is just a Python code which I just declared two variable a and b, which equals 1. The statement I'm passing is just print a plus b. Okay, so you guys know what is the logic. We am performing a sum here, a plus b, and I know what is the output. The output is 2 because I predefined the value a is equal to 1 and b is equal to 1. So print a plus b will give me the value as 2. Okay, so this is what. But see the code down, that's the obfuscated code. Can you guys tell me both are the same code? Anyone? Is the obfuscated code looking like the same one up? Nope. Okay, so okay, let me send this sophisticated code to you. Okay, just find what is the logic behind this. Can you find what will be the output? Do you guys can do that? It's like just import base64 magic is equal to some yt0xcml, love is equal to something like 9 is a bcc pz, and like joy is equal to like slash x 72 slash x 65f slash x 74. It's like something what most of the person, even I did when I was practicing cybersecurity 2 years back. I will be downloading some source code from the website, and when I try to decompile it, I will be getting same like this. In that time, I don't know what is actually this code is actually obfuscated. What I will think, the file is corrupted. Even 2 days back, my friend sent me a file which I think you are using Linux, and I think you can send me the source code of this easily. When I tried opening this in my notepad using Windows, it's just actually showing me at symbol full of ats. What I don't know what to do. He just sent me like that, and I just tell him, oh guy, this code is just obfuscated. You just try to understand the concept behind it and try de-obfuscating it. In most case, the developer use some tools and the hacker know what tool it is and what kind of logic he is using and try de-obfuscating it, and he will be getting around 40% of readable data. And in some case, we will be using our own logic, so it is very difficult to understand what is happening inside it. Okay, so the Siloscape is actually very heavily sophisticated, like not one time. It's the sophisticated code which I have, for example, is one time sophisticated. Even this is very hard to crack, but it's heavily sophisticated, like two time, three time, four time, using different algorithms. Okay, so it's very heavily sophisticated, so it's very impossible to do reverse engineering. Okay, that's what Mr. Daniel said in his research too. Even any anti-virus software available for now can't able to detect the Siloscape. It's very hard to detect. Okay, so this is what the definition of Siloscape is and what obfuscation is. Do you guys understand what this is? Or do you want me, if you don't believe me, I just can execute the obfuscated code below, which gives me the same output as 2. Can I? Do you want me guys to execute that? Yes, okay. Just wait a minute. So I try to finish this as fast as I can because I do have a time constraint. I just allotted 45 minutes. Yes, I am having 15 minutes, so I will be completing this very fast. I just copy the code. Oh my god. Oh, okay, since it is a presentation. Wait a minute. Sorry. Okay, I just copied. And we go to a terminal here. So this is the thing which I have copied. Okay, let me align it properly because Python will definitely show me indentation error. Wait, just. It's not multi-lined. Okay, it's just single line code. Okay. Yeah, good to go. Sorry. Okay, I got it. So just okay, I got it. So as I said, actually, it's a single line command. I forgot to add this eval thing in the trust. Okay, so that's what it's showing me the error. Okay, I add it now, and it's just the code I copied from the presentation. I have changed nothing, just made some space alignment because we guys know that Python will definitely show us the indentation error. Okay, so that's it. It gave me the output 2. Can you guys see it? See here, 1 plus 1, which is actually 2. I think you guys can see. Yeah. So at last. So do you guys understand what is siloscape and what is obfuscation? Yes or no? Okay, yes. So time is 6:43. I have to go fast. So we coming here to the working principle. Okay. So now in the working principle, I just continue as fast as I can, and in question answer session, you can ask me any doubts. Okay. So I'm not asking you anything in between this session. So is there anyone vulnerable in Windows container? Okay. So as Bhavita asked me first thing, Kubernetes. So there is no vulnerable. Okay. So the vulnerable is not in Kubernetes; it's actually in the Windows OS. Okay, so what is the vulnerable? Okay, so Windows container depend on host kernel that we know already. The server container is directly installed onto the system. So the problem starts here. Okay, in Windows, actually, what the problem is, everything we see is symbolic link. Okay, so what we'll be doing, we will be creating shortcuts. Symbolic link is a shortcut. Okay, we will be creating shortcut for my computer recycle bin. Even the recycle bin we see is the shortcut. When we are going into my computer, we'll be seeing local disk C and local disk D. Even that is a shortcut. Okay, local disk C is also a shortcut for what is inside the root directory of Windows. There is a folder called devices. Inside that, some partition is called Windows C, and Windows C is a shortcut for that thing. Okay, this is what the problem with Windows. Okay, so since the container is directly imported on the host machine, so what we can do, everything run inside the container has to be compiled using the host OS. Okay, the host has to compile the thing which command is given inside the container. Okay, so using this, the attacker can execute his program, a vulnerable program or anything, and he can actually get access to the host machine. So we will be seeing how he will be doing it. But even the container is, we can say that the container is not safe, because to do such kind of activity inside a container, we do need TCP privilege. I guys think you know what is TCP privilege. It's a trust computing based privilege. Okay, I think you guys know, you should know. If you don't know, I will be saying you, and then you will be thinking, oh, this is what TCP privilege is. So when you are installing some software, Windows pop-up will be appearing. This thing is from a trusted source. Do you want to install or not? Yes or no? That is what a TCP privilege is. Okay, so it a trusted installer. Okay, so to run something inside a container and change the system process, we do need TCP privilege, and we'll be seeing how the Siloscape is gaining that privilege. Okay, so moving on to the next slide, the process how Siloscape is executing. Okay, the first one is remote code execution. Okay, so let me consider I am a hacker. Okay, I am the hacker. I need to gain first of all, I need to gain access to the container. So what we'll be doing, the remote code execution. So to find any known vulnerable, there will be a vulnerable in anything. Okay, we have to find that. After finding that, how we are escalating the privilege is what matters. Okay, going inside the mission is not at all a matter. We can go inside the mission very easily. Okay, so first of all, the hacker will try to go inside the container through any website, maybe that server, we say example InfoSquad. So InfoSquad may be having a website, they will be having database. I will try SQL injection or some thing and get what is their weakness, and using that weak point I will be gaining remote code execution in inside the system. Okay, so after getting inside the system, what I will do is simply upload my binary. That is, I named it as malware.exe. Okay, that is the Siloscape, actual Siloscape. Okay, that's it. That's what I will be doing, and just run it. Open the CMD and then run it. Using the CMD, I will be running it like malware.exe -a, which is the argument. I will pass two argument. One is the password. Another one is the link. Okay, website link. What is the link? It's like I am having a C2 server. What is C2 server is command server. I said that the function of Siloscape is to open the back door. Okay, it will connect the system directly to my server, so that anytime I can just open my laptop and go to my website and just pass a command and hack your computer. This is what the thing will do is, so I just pass what is my server and what is I don't pass the password directly. I will be passing it as the hash, and only the Siloscape know how to decrypt the hash. Okay, and we guys don't know how to decrypt the Siloscape, so it's very difficult for the analyst to get the password for my server. Okay, so don't think like that. Okay, it's very difficult. That's what I will be doing, and everything it's in the hand of Siloscape now. So what is to escape the container. We did our job, that's all. We don't need to do anything more. The first step is to escape the container. How Siloscape escape? I said the what is the vulnerable in the Windows container. Okay, using that only the Siloscape is going to escape the container. So Siloscape create a symbolic link inside the container. Going inside the container, it will create, hey, I'm creating a shortcut here. Okay, is that okay? And the system, what it will be saying, hey, it is okay. You just create a shortcut. Okay, it will be creating the shortcut. First step is to create a shortcut. It will be creating. It's very easy. Okay. After that, what it will be doing is to execute. To execute the shortcut, what it need, I said that TCP privilege. It needs the TCP privilege. So we do have a service here called as cexecsvc.exe, which is a function inside the container, which expands for container execution service. Okay, this is the expansion of that service. So which is run by the container itself, and that is executed directly into the host OS. What it will do is, when the service is running, the Siloscape uses some technology called, not the technology, it's a technique called thread impersonation. Okay, thread impersonation is like the service is running and it create multiple threads to the processor. What it will do, it copies the content of the threads and it will create more threads. Like, I am the actual process, the service, what cxscv is doing, actually I am that process. He is impersonating me. It will complain to the Windows and it will be getting actually executed. Okay, this is what the Siloscape do. Okay, and it will gain the TCP privilege, and after gaining the TCP privilege, what it will do is it will make believe that actually the symbolic link which the Siloscape created is the symbolic link for the local disk C, which is the host machine. It will be make our kernel to think that way. Okay, it will say, hey, this is the symbolic link for the local disk C. What are you doing there? It's not the actual local disk C. It will say. So it is already connected. So the symbolic link inside the container is actually the link for the host machine. So it's not what an hacker doing, it's everything is malware doing. Okay, it creates the symbolic link and then now it's went inside the local disk C. Okay, now the third part is it will be searching for Kubernetes inside the system. Okay, if the Kubernetes is installed, okay, that's the matter. Its main target is Kubernetes. If Kubernetes is installed in a system, it will proceed further. If the Kubernetes is not installed, you guys don't have problem. Okay, that malware will stop there. So it will check for the Kubernetes. The command is kubectl in terminal. So it will be search for a binary file named as kubectl.exe. If the file is found, what it will be doing is it just open the CMD and it will type the command kubectl auth can I create deployment. Okay, this is like, can I create a node inside you? I said that Kubernetes is actually a thing which is used to monitor every nodes. Okay, so that we can create our node as well as delete our node. Like, I am deploying a container with Ubuntu image and I am deploying a container with Kali Linux image, so that later I can delete it. Like that, it's saying that I'm an user, can I deploy a new container? It's asking. If the Kubernetes replied yes, so the malware got the permission. If Kubernetes replied no, so it stop again. Okay, it won't further proceed. Okay, so if let's consider that the Kubernetes replied yes to the command, so what the Siloscape will be doing next is connecting to my server. Okay, I said I am a hacker, so it is connecting to my C2 server. I just passed already. I passed the password as well as the link to my website. Okay, the onion link. So what it will be doing is it's just install the Tor inside the Windows system and it will run it. After the Tor opens, it just passed my website link. It will go inside that, decrypt my hash, find the password, pass it there, and go inside my website. Connect the computer with my server. That's all. It's the work of Siloscape. It's open the back door. Nothing malicious. It doesn't delete any file. It is not importing any virus inside the host machine. Your system stays safe. But what it's doing is like we can compare it with in the terms of biology, it's the HIV. Okay, HIV doesn't do anything for us, but what it do is it's just cause other diseases to come inside our body. That's what HIV do. Like that, the Siloscape does nothing. It's just make our system vulnerable, so that drink of some water. Okay, it's just make our system vulnerable, so that any attacker can come and attack us. This is what Siloscape does. Okay, so visual representation. Okay, a flowchart. So I think you guys will be understanding well if this is explained clear. So we have an attacker here. Okay, the attacker, and the process one is the attacker gaining remote code execution inside the container, and then he uploads. The process two is he uploads the Siloscape. Okay, the Siloscape malware. Now what the malware do, the process number 3 is it is creating a symbolic link. Here it is created as local disk X. Okay, there is no such disk in your PC. Okay, so it's just creating something like that, local disk X. And now what it is doing is using thread impersonation. It's just linking local disk C with local disk X and making Windows believe that actually the symbolic link X is the path to the local disk C. Okay, and then it going inside the local disk C and scanning for two files, which is kubectl, which is the command we are going to execute in the terminal, and the configuration file. Okay, the configuration file through which we can check the permission whether I can deploy a container or not. Okay, so we'll be checking. So when the Kubernetes reply you, yes, okay, this is the master Kubernetes, I said no, the admin, and there are many nodes running like us. There will be node 2, node 3, node 4, node 5, many PCs running many containers. Okay, this is what node is. And it will be asking the Kubernetes like, can I deploy a container? Now the Kubernetes is replying, yeah, you can. Now came to know that I can do anything in the system. Now what it will do is it just connect to the hacker server and say that, yeah, guy, I just completed the work you gave me. This is your backdoor. You can do anything you want. That's it. This is how exactly the Siloscape works. Okay. So mainly normal person, like general user of PC, are not going to affect by the Siloscape. However, there is no any method or any known method or any antivirus that can scan for Siloscape and uh, say you that, hey, there is a virus, you just go and delete it, or there is some malware, you just go and delete it. It's not going to happen because it is highly obfuscated, and even many researchers are still researching on it. Okay, but some solution are provided for you guys. Okay, so what all are the safety measure? First thing is, as Microsoft suggested us, one is the server container, another one is the Hyper-V container. What the first point is, why you are using a server container, you just go use a Hyper-V container, create a virtual environment, and then you do your work, man. So if you're doing like this, the Kubernetes will not get affected. You will be in a virtual machine, so the container is not directly contacting with the host. Okay, if it is not directly contacting with the process of escaping itself, the Siloscape will fail because it can't link itself with the local disk C. The boundary ends in the virtual machine. That's all. It can't escape the thing. Okay, that's what you can use. Hyper-V, don't use the server container. The first point. Second point, instead of I said like cloud. Okay, so if you use Prisma Cloud. There is a cloud called Prisma Cloud, which provide you a runtime protection. Okay, what it will do is it will, when you are using it, it regularly check what all are the activity we are doing in day to day life, and it will write rules for itself. Oh, okay, this guy at 7 o'clock is doing this, at 12 o'clock he is doing this, again at 7 o'clock he is doing this. So this is the routine of him, so this is what he is going to do. Okay, it will take some notes and make a rules. Okay, and then what it will do is like, if anything happens which is not in the daily routine, like a guy uploaded a Siloscape virus, so it is not in a day-to-day routine. So what the Prisma Cloud will do is, this thing is not in our routine, so we must reject it. So it automatically delete the Siloscape. So it is not detecting the Siloscape malware, it's automatically deleting it because it's not in our day-to-day life. What admin has to do is just go to the website and he has to do, hey, I'm going to upload this thing, I'm going to, if he is admin who is actually going to upload something, he has some privileges. But if an attacker come and do like this, so automatically the Prisma Cloud will delete it and that activity is not further proceed. Okay, so that's what we can do, the second point. And the third is, okay, the Microsoft gave you guidelines, which is don't run any admin privilege application inside a server container. But that's not what we are doing. We will be running anything and anything we want. That's what we are doing, so don't do that. Okay, the point 3. And point 4 is configure your Kubernetes more securely. You have to configure the thing more secure. So as I said, after escaping the container, it will check a Kubernetes, can I deploy a container? And if Kubernetes said yes, if it said yes only, the Siloscape will open a backdoor. If it say no, it is not going to further, it's not going to proceed further anymore. Okay, so if you configure your configuration file well. And the fifth one is, as I said before, the third one, follow the guidelines. It's the same. The fifth one is, don't run any unwanted application inside a server container. So we do have a virtual machine. Just go to the virtual machine, fire up your virtual box, or click Windows. Do you want to perform some testing or some research? Do inside that. Don't do anything directly onto a machine which will be going to affecting you. Okay. So this is all of the safety guards we can follow. Only for Siloscape, I think this all are the primary thing to escape from many viruses. Okay, so that's all. I think this session will be very useful for you guys. Do you have any question? You can post it in the chat box or open up your mic. Guys, so don't just keep quiet. Okay, I know that there is only 3 category. One is who understand everything, and one is who doesn't understand anything, and the third one is some who have doubts. The first 2 category is more likely to be impossible. We guys do have doubts, right? If you have any question, post it or just ask me. Hello, are you guys still active there? Hello.
Abhishek? Hello, Abhishek?
So first of all, I am audible.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, Adarsh, your volume is very low.
Can you hear me now? So the whole Windows system is called as server container.
The whole Windows system is not a server container. The container is actually like, okay, so it's similar to the cloud, where there are many dedicated system. Okay, inside that we will be having already installed application. What we will be doing is just calling that application, like same like cloud. We are just calling it and using it. It's already stored somewhere. It's virtual.
Okay. So Hyper-V is also virtual.
Yeah, Hyper-V is also virtual. Yeah, good question. I forgot to tell that. I just said that the hypervisor technology, but Hyper-V is It is already provided by the Windows. You don't need to install any virtual machine or create any virtual environment by yourself. Same as calling a server container, you just need to use a single keyword, that is container2. That's all, a single keyword. What it will do is the Windows itself will create another layer of Windows about it, and it will install the container
Okay, okay,
Hyper-V.
okay,
You don't need to explicitly install any virtual machine.
okay, okay.
Any other doubt?
Interested.
Okay, I see some guys have posted something. Nice session. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Prajwal. So, Bhavita, how to find if it is affected by Siloscape? Yeah, the question is good. To be really frank, we can't find that we have been affected by Siloscape. Okay? Even the researcher Daniel, who found the Siloscape, okay, he just posted there are around 5,000 users, okay, currently 5,000 users. They don't know they have been affected by Siloscape the whole thing, the whole time. They don't know, okay. He just found it by doing, he didn't say that very clearly, okay. He somehow found the C2 server of an attacker who is having control of the 5,000 users, and he found that there are around 5,000. He just found for one attacker. We don't know how many are there and how many users are currently affected. It's impossible to find Siloscape. He said that no antivirus can find the Siloscape. You have to follow the prevention, what I said you, 5 things. Use virtual technology, and then don't run anything malicious inside a container, and then follow safety guard. And if you really want to avoid Siloscape, you have to use Prisma Cloud. That's what. Even Prisma Cloud can't find Siloscape. I just said you that how it's working. So people can do DDoS through it. I don't know the people can do DDoS through it or not, because we actually don't know how Siloscape works or actually how it is written to work. Okay, first we need to find that. And if someone find, before a security analyst find, if some hacker find it, yeah, he can use the same technology and DDoS some websites. So any other questions? How do you expect more? It's already time. I have taken extra time. It's not a problem. There is no limitation for the education, I think.